what is a femcel? I probably get asked this question on like a daily or weekly, honestly like a weekly basis now, unfortunately, and I never really know how to answer, so here I am. Hi everybody, I am Chloe, aka Boop Create, and today we are going to be trying to figure out what the hell a femcel is, because I can never seem to answer this for people, and I get asked this a lot. And actually for a period of time I was actually the top Google result for femcel on Google Images. I'm still on the first page now, but I was on like the top 4 results for images for quite a while. So I feel like if anybody knows the answer to this question, it obviously should be me, because Google has determined that I must be the face of femcels. And the most simplest of terms, femcel should mean female incel, which is a female involuntarily celibate, in case you don't know what incel means. But I'd argue it's a lot more complicated than that, and you'll see a lot of different varying definitions. According to the Reddit forum True Femcels, which has now been shut down, I think probably for being hateful towards men. So I can't go on there to actually see it. But they say a femcel is an adult woman whose physical appearance is below average, less than a 4 out of 10, or suffers a significant impediment that prevents her from securing a romantic relationship, not sex. Urban Dictionary says that a femcel is, top definition is a female incel. But here's where I get a little more complicated. That's the top definition that was posted September 2020. Now, interestingly, I just saw this entry, but I feel like this is a little more accurate. This is from September 2023, just to show you how things have changed. Although the main definition would be something along the lines of female incel, the term femcel is often used to describe various personality traits. Yes, a femcel is a celibate woman, voluntarily or not, but with time, the word has been used to describe single women interested in parentheses, non-exhaustive list, the internet. Femcels are known to be chronically online, first and foremost, being mentally ill in one way or another, being obsessed with femboys, or being yandere. I'm never gonna get that pronunciation of that word right. Listening to, quote, femcel music, Mitski, Fleetwood Mac, Blondie, Princess Chelsea, Deftones, Death Grips, ... I feel like they're missing out some. I feel like the Lana Del Rey is definitely a femcel music. A lot of others that I feel like that they're missing out on. Having, quote, femcel hobbies such as video games, horror, a mix of both, cutesy things, art, spending all day in bed doing absolutely nothing, anime. Generally being a social reject, especially in real life, and mostly having online friends, if any IRL friends at all. And their example of uses of femcel is, I haven't left my room in a week and my back really hurts. Yeah, maybe that's because you've been doing nothing but rewatching Serial Experiments Lane for the 100th time and listening to 3-hour deep dives about every PS2 psychological horror game with a woman protagonist you could find. Oh well, yeah, I guess. You're such a fucking femcel. That, I feel like, is a little more accurate to how I think a lot of people on TikTok and Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit even now describe femcels. I feel like that the Urban Dictionary definition more accurately fits how I see femcels described on like TikTok or Twitter or like Tumblr, places like that. However, I feel like it still remains a really divisive word. For example, like in my last video I talked about posting on Reddit, I described myself as a femcel as a joke. And I had a lot of people ask me, what's a femcel? And the people that seem to know what a femcel were like, you're clearly not a femcel because you're too pretty to be one. Even though in that definition from Urban Dictionary, it doesn't really talk about anything with like looks or anything else. It's just more like, okay, you're chronically online. I don't know. And I feel like we can't talk about femcels without going into defining what a incel is, which again is involuntarily celibate, but that's been like a really loaded community, really loaded word, which I think is interesting considering how the term incel initially started. It started back, actually, the word was coined by a queer woman back in, like, I think 1997. And she started a involuntarily celibate project about just people who had trouble with relationships, and hadn't been in a relationship in a long time. And it has since been obviously not that meaning. It's gotten much beyond that in the last like 20 years or so. Even though I joke about incels a lot on here, I will say it's like you can't talk about that without recognizing the fact that there are actual incels that have done violent terroristic acts and actually murdered people that identified with the incel group. Which I guess brings into the point of, okay, why are we why is there a word for femcels? Like, why is there a word for female incels? Because the incel by definition doesn't talk about men. It kind of includes anybody. And that's how the original word was used. And I think it's probably because of those kinds of, I don't know, that kind of like how the word has now been associated with a literal recognized like terrorist threat. So people probably don't want to use that anymore. Now we have the really important question. Now that I've like somewhat tried to define femcels, at least I think in the most basic of sense, I get a lot of people saying femcels are not real. I've seen that point a ton of times online, like femcels aren't real, don't exist, or they'll argue there shouldn't be a word for femcels because there's just literally like incels, which is a non-gender specific term, which at that point I do kind of agree with in some senses, but however I feel like that people don't want to be associated with incels for good reason. All right, so are femcels real? I think that genuinely depends on how you are identifying a femcel. Now, a lot of like people online will say, oh, like a femcel or incel is somebody that cannot get sex. Like they kind of strip the relationship part of that and then just say it's like, yeah, there's somebody that can't have sex with anybody. They can't find anybody to have sex with. And I disagree with that definition. And I disagree with, because I understand, okay, with the celibacy part, yes, that kind of does, that does imply that. But that's not, I think, what the term originally meant. I think it more so referred to relationships rather than just like sex, like a hookup or like anything casual. So I think if you define it that way, I feel like it's probably, I do agree with the point. Femcels are probably not real. But I'd also argue that in that same vein, incels are probably not real. Like, I think there's very few people that are genuinely involuntarily celibate. And I will explain this because I feel like that a lot of people are like, wait, hold up. There's like, you know, some people that really struggle with stuff. And I think I do agree with that. However, I feel like that there's always something that you can do to improve yourself. Like, I understand it's like maybe you feel like you don't look as good or you look below average. But that doesn't mean that you can't, I don't know, try to, I'm not suggesting looks maxing. I am not suggesting looks maxing at all, but trying to just like, you know, okay, I'm gonna try to like make sure my hair is healthy. I like work out a little bit. I eat healthy. I just, you know, try to overall look the best that I can in healthy ways that improve my overall health and well-being beyond just relationship stuff. I also think that, you know, too, there's things you can do to just beyond appearance, just improve yourself in general, like going and pursuing hobbies that you enjoy, just developing interest and things like that. I think that that's more or less what people are attracted to than looks, at least like personally in my experience. I don't know, I kind of look at the things that I look for in somebody, and a lot of times I don't really care about looks. I don't. It's more about just, you know, somebody having like a good personality, like being a kind person, being funny, having like interests that they're passionate about, somebody that, you know, is motivated and is trying to kind of like, you know, do things that they care about in their life. Those are the things that I care about more and are attracted to. And I'd say that's true for the majority of people. And in terms of like just incels online, people aren't going to be attracted to somebody that spends a ton of time online complaining about women. Women are unsurprisingly not going to like guys that don't like women in general. It's the same thing for men. I feel like, I don't think guys are gonna want to date a girl that just goes online and complains about men 90% of the time. Unless it's like in a really like humorous way or something different than just going on and saying all guys are awful. However, I think those things are choices. You know, you choose to kind of be a mean person. You can choose to kind of, you know, not do things to better your life. So I don't think that the like involuntary part of being involuntarily celibate is true. That might be the case for you, but there's choices that I think the majority of people could be making, so that's not the case for them. However, I recognize it's a little bit more complicated than that. I think there's a lot of people that do genuinely struggle in relationships. And incels, by kind of stripping down to like, oh, are you an incel or femcel, by defining it as, can you get just sex with somebody, or are you able to have sex with someone, is really, I think, reductive and not what I think the term originally meant, or really what it should mean, because I'd argue a lot of people can, you know, kind of get those things, even guys. I actually hear more so about guys getting offered that kind of somewhat randomly, a lot of guys that I know, than women. So I think that's just reductive and not true. However, I think there are people that genuinely struggle in relationships. And it's not because it's like somebody has like insanely high standards or anything like that. Or they're just not 100% trying. Maybe you could be doing things to try more. You know, it's like, I'm sure if you go on like 100 dates with somebody, you're gonna find one person you like, but who has time to go on 100 dates to even try to figure that out? I think the best example of this is, which is gonna seem kind of weird, but is Leslie Knope in like the first 2 seasons of Parks and Rec. I think there's a lot of jokes about how, like, you know, kind of she struggles in relationships, like she, you know, the one guy that she likes doesn't really like her in that same way, or, you know, view her that way. You know, there's this whole kind of bit about all the horrible dates she's gone on, and there's a lot of people that are like that, that just kind of, for whatever reason, just kind of struggle with stuff like that. And as you can, anybody who's seen the show knows that obviously Leslie is like a, you know, played by Amy Poehler, just incredibly motivated, just a kind person, really beautiful, and she still struggles with that. And I think that's a really real thing. So I think that there's a lot of people that definitely fit into that kind of category as someone who struggles to get into relationships. However, I think that also, I like this, the show shows this, obviously. People struggle like that for a little bit, and then things will eventually work out. And I feel like that's the majority of people, where there's nothing really wrong with you, just for whatever reason, struggle with stuff. And I'm gonna say, like, honestly, it's like, I know that, you know, I don't know, maybe people think this is hard to believe, you know, at least according to them on Reddit, they think this is so hard to believe, but for a while that was me. I think for like a really long time I struggled with, like, the guys that I liked either like didn't like me, or were just like not dateable because I had a girlfriend, they were gay, like I just everything kept on happening, like it's like they like have a girlfriend, gay, too old, undateable, something, like I can't date them. And a lot of guys that liked me, I just thought they were good people, I just don't like them back romantically. And I think for me, it's like my main standard is, do I like you romantically? Do I care about you to date somebody? However, I will say that's not always going to be the case for anybody that's a decent person. And if you're going out there and meeting people, things will work out. So a bit of a rant, but do I think that femcels and incels are real? And this, yes, in the sense of somebody who struggles with relationships, I do think that's real. Now, weirdly though, this is where I think the idea of like femcels and incels differ. Online, when you hear about incels, you don't, I mean, think of it kind of like a particular kind of person, like guys that comment like mean things about women or whatever. You don't think of like an aesthetic or just these certain kind of traits the same way that I think femcel online has morphed into. So I think, I feel like I don't know, I honestly still have a hard time describing it. But probably the best way is like these femcel bingo cards that I have seen. For example, like this one has listens to Radiohead, The Smiths, hates men, mentally insane, FNAF, into astrology, watches Evangelion, I'm guilty, Evangelion Garfield shirt on, Death Notes, the monster, you know, uses Tumblr, Reddit, or Twitter, film critic, likes Lana Del Rey, Marina, Melanie Martinez. Another one that I saw recently from a femcel Reddit, which I will get into. True femcel bingo. It's the underdeveloped, unattractive facial features, which fits, I think, some of the other femcel stuff we saw. Poor posture, poor sense of style, inability to perform like an adult, have a steady job, acne, often judgmental and angry, has acted in a stalker-like manner towards crushes. These are more like kind of personal things that I'd argue those are a little bit more like actual femcel things than some of the more like interest-focused ones, but I guess that kind of, I don't know, that kind of gives an idea of what people mean when they say a femcel. And then also the femcel interest, which I would argue, depending on who you're asking, varies. One website says that anime manga that femcels like include Black Lagoon, Chainsaw Man, Fooly Cooly, Goodnight Pun Pun, Monster, Nana, Perfect Blue, Serial Experiments Lane, Evangelion. They don't include Welcome to the NHK, but I will say I feel like that definitely fits the femcel aesthetic vibe, and is highly underrated, and you should watch it. So that, I guess, kind of gives an idea of the femcel interest, which I think more so, in my opinion, that's just chronically online interest, in my experience. A lot of times, like, I watch a lot of those animes, and a lot of times I've talked about them with, like, people who are, like, into anime. I haven't heard of them. Like, I kind of joked about this, but I genuinely thought Serial Experiments Lane was, like, a really popular anime until like I started talking to people who like anime. I've only met actually I think like one person who has watched Serial Experiments Lane, and they only watched half of it out of people IRL that I've met that like anime. So I just think it's like chronically online people that just like, I don't know, niche interest, I guess, niche anime, niche, I don't want to say like Lana Del Rey is like niche music, but yeah. Then I want to get into something else that's a little bit that's adjacent to that, but this is the first time I really saw femcels being used like a ton online, which is this guy's changed his username now. Maybe he's changed, I don't know. But there's a guy on TikTok called Femcel Freedom Fighter about like 2-ish years ago, that his post kind of blew up, whatever, and he changed his name now. It's Mitchell Warren, but I will always know him as Femcel Freedom Fighter. I'm not letting him forget about that. I don't know why, but this guy just kind of bugged me from the start, but essentially his entire like thing that he blew up on, he got like 70,000 followers from doing this. He'd post like thirst traps, you know, with text over his face, like things like, "Damn, baby, you must be really hydrated with those 12 half-empty glasses of water scattered all over your bedroom. Dang, baby, that mug on your nightstand looks like it's become a whole self-sustaining organism. Damn, baby, you're so much funnier since you've become incredibly depressed. Damn, baby, throwing your dishes in the garbage because they are too rancid to clean anymore is starting to set you back financially. She's so hot, I just want to clean her room for her." I don't know why this guy just like kind of bugged me initially from the start, and this whole kind of like femcels are hot kind of thing. But I think I kind of know why, and I feel like that I get that it's not directly negative, but it definitely, to me at least, like feels kind of negative, like pointing out these like kind of things and making it like cutesy and saying that you kind of like girls that are depressed or like girls that struggle with like kind of basic things. I don't know why, but that just rubs me the wrong way. Well, actually, I do know why. It kind of is just like, you know, making light of something that is like a genuine kind of issue, I guess. And being someone that struggles and has struggled with like mental illness and depression, I don't think that it's cute. I don't think that it's fun. I don't really want somebody to like me because of those things, or want to try to fix me or anything. I don't really want that. I mean, obviously in friendships and relationships you want someone to support you and kind of be there for you, but anyway, so this he's deleted actually all these posts, so I'm gathering them from like reposts that I've seen. He's changed his name, so maybe he kind of realized that this was a little bit cringy. I also think thirst traps in general are cringy from anybody, doesn't matter your gender. I think that they're cringy. So yeah, but anyways, I think that kind of also established this idea that femcels are like dirty and don't clean your room when you're depressed or whatever. I didn't actually really see like a ton of things like talking about that before this guy, so I think that he kind of started that up, or I don't know, just saw that niche and went for it. I don't know, it's just a really odd phenomenon, and I will say it's like, I don't know. I just did not like that. And I think also kind of that romanticizing and like a little bit like fetishizing mental illness and depression is a genuine issue that that's a whole nother video in itself. But yeah, that I think also contributes to this idea, this femcel aesthetic, or the idea of femcels online. And then for like memes and stuff like that, we have the subreddit called Femcel Grippy Sock Jail, which is the only like femcel related subreddit that's still up. There used to be True Femcels, and that was removed. Then there still is, it's still on Reddit, you can still see the old posts, but there used to be Female Dating Strategy active on Reddit, which is in my opinion, they are the closest things to like modern incels, because they hate men the same way that incels hate women. They're now active on their own forum website. So they're still around, but not exactly on Reddit. And I actually do plan on making another video on the entire female dating strategy subreddit, because I find it weirdly fascinating, and I do think it relates to the whole topic of femcels, because like I said, I think that they genuinely are like the female version of incels today. But anyways, Femcel Grippy Sock Jail is just basically they post memes and things like that, and I think that really embodies like the kind of like TikTok like modern femcels. So a lot of times I'll be talking about guys, and like, you know, maybe they might be joking like, oh, guys are terrible, whatever, but a lot of these girls have crushes, you know, gone on dates, some of them even have boyfriends and things like that. So it's clearly not genuine femcels or whatever, which again, don't really think those fully exist. There also is another subreddit, I think, called Forever Alone Women, which is similar to kind of what I was talking about, like just women that have struggled with relationships, and are sharing that and are not hateful at all, unlike certain groups like True Femcels and Female Dating Strategy. So that's like the Reddit side of it. Femcel Grippy Sock Jail is a fucking trip, though. Don't take it too seriously if you go there, because it's clearly not serious. And then finally, I want to talk about the femcel look, which is weird to think that like femcels have like an actual, like, I don't know, like aesthetic look, whatever. My most viewed TikTok, by the way, is of me wearing these glasses and also putting on a filter saying that I look like a femcel. Because there was before that I saw a couple people saying like, oh my gosh, this filter makes me look like a femcel because it had glasses that were like this, like slightly different. I just thought it was funny, so I was like, that actually that looks pretty similar to my actual glasses that I do wear, because I wear contacts in like 90% of my videos. Not 90, like 99%. I think it's like the first video I've done my glasses. I've done like one other stream. I just like contacts. I don't know. It's nice. So that's where we get into the femcel look that apparently I have, which is funny. So then what is the femcel look aesthetic? I think that a lot of people, I guess according to my post, agree that it's brown hair and glasses. I've been thinking about getting like my hair cut with like bangs recently, so I've had them like on and off for like about 2-ish years now. So I probably should have done that before I filmed this video, but I don't know. We'll see if I decide to do that. But I would say like the femcel look is brown hair, bangs, and glasses, I guess. There's also this TikTok somebody did of a like, you know, like drawing a femcel, whatever, and it's that same kind of look, and then wearing a anime t-shirt, and that's like my typical like chill look. However, I think this idea of that look kind of originated from a 4chan post from about 2 years ago, and then with a picture of it looks like a bunch of mugshots or women in court saying, why do you all look like this? I guess referring to you all as femcels. And I've seen also this posted as like what is it, female Joker or whatever looks just like the femcel archetype, femcel phenotype. But for whatever reason I've seen that thrown around, which is kind of funny. It's just worded that way. I've seen this image like actually the first time I saw this image, I've seen this image online like a decent bit. The first time I actually saw this image, though, it was shown to me by my now ex-boyfriend, because he I guess was sent it by one of his friends, and then he was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like femcels are so hot. Which was like, okay. And then I looked in the mirror and I was like, I guess that checks out. But anyways, I never actually see anybody talk about who the people are in this picture. And after kind of like I obviously knew like some of them were bad. But after looking up, I'm like, I don't really like this meme anymore, and I don't really think it should be used in my opinion. But anyways, the first woman is Riley Williams, who stormed the Capitol on January 6th and stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop. The second one is a woman who planned a mass shooting and was sentenced to life in jail. The third one is a school shooter. The fourth one stabbed her boyfriend, and then I guess went viral online for that. The fifth one is Jodi Arias, which you guys, if you've been online at all, not online, just followed the news, you probably know about that case, but she stabbed her boyfriend to death. The sixth picture is Anna Delvey, and she's probably the least bad person here. You guys might remember her case a while ago, and there's been a Netflix series and, I don't know, documentaries, a lot of things about her. She just pretended to be some fake heiress and conned rich people. Did not harm anybody physically, unlike everybody else here, I think. Or do anything that's, like, really particularly that bad. She just scams people, so... the next one is Isabella Loretta Jenke, and she, trolled Chris Chan, and I allegedly is abused animals and tried to convince him to molest his mom. I don't think she's been arrested though, which she probably should be at this point. Then the last, the eighth girl is a Florida teenager who I think was planning a mass shooting. Then, yeah. The ninth one is a woman who drowned her 5 children due to postpartum depression. Anyways, I didn't know who, like, I just, obviously knew, like, from the ones that I recognized that this was bad. I didn't know how bad a lot of these things were. And obviously, originating from 4chan, that's bad enough in itself. I kind of wish this image wouldn't be used anymore, just because it's like, these are genuinely awful women that are murderers or attempted to be. Except for Anna Delvey's chill. Like, that's not that bad. I remember reading about her a while ago. It was an interesting case. Obviously, you shouldn't scam anybody, but that's not anywhere in the league of the rest of the people here. Sorry, it just makes me really uncomfortable to even be, like, reading about that and thinking about that, which is why I kind of don't think that image should be used for even, like, a femcel look as a joke. I don't really like it. I do kind of see the point that person was making, though, with the 4chan post. It's like, why do all femcels look like this? And it's like, essentially, if you like break it down to just simply like looks, which again, they're trying to be insulting too by using a bunch of mugshots and women who murdered people. But if you break it down to looks, it's okay, brown, natural hair, and then like usually bangs and glasses, and then kind of dressed down. So why is it the femcel look though? And I thought about it for a minute, and I feel like it's a very low maintenance kind of look. It's like, typically if you have like brown or your natural hair color, you're not going to the salon a ton to try to like upkeep it. Wearing glasses, we're putting in contacts and trying to kind of like, I don't know, look perfect or anything like that. And then like, I'd argue a more accurate one would be like wearing just like a anime shirt and then like leggings or jeans, like what I'm wearing now. So that is my analysis of the femcel phenotype, which I think is actually pretty accurate, I'd say. And I guess why people thought that I looked like a femcel, because I do fit that definition. The only difference is I think I'm wearing like a little bit too much makeup for like the typical femcel look, but anyways. However, if you would like somebody to represent femcels and you don't want to use that image like me because you're like, now you're a little freaked out, from now until, I don't care, whenever, unless femcels have like a really bad image at some point, you can use an image of me to represent femcels. And I feel like most of the time I do fit that aesthetic. A lot of people online have told me I look like a femcel, and if I get bangs soon, that'll even increase that. So I volunteer to be the image of femcels. I feel like this is probably gonna hurt me down the road, but for now it's fun. It's funny. I do fit that, and you know, I'm a pretty good person, I would say. I try to be a good person. Okay, so to sum up the video and our essential question that we've asked, which is, what is a femcel? The answer is, I don't know. I do feel like I answered it in this video. However, I feel like it kind of gets a little more complicated, because it's like, I feel like asking what is a femcel is almost asking like, what is postmodern art? What is like this complicated aesthetic issue? It's not something that's like, oh, like can be defined simply, which I think is why I got confused whenever people would ask me. It's like, oh, what is a femcel? And I don't know how to describe that fully, because it's like, I think at this point in the way that I was using it, saying female involuntarily celibate does not really feel accurate to how it's used online and how I'm even joking about it. And anything else just, I don't know, just felt like, I'm like, this doesn't feel accurate. I would argue at this point, like, femcels kind of represent like a kind of group of people with certain common interests that isn't really represented by any other word, except for like maybe, like, there's maybe a little bit of overlap with like, you know, kind of NEET, which is not an education, employment, or training, chronically online kind of people. Like, maybe that would be a better term, but I don't really feel like that describes everybody that's a femcel, so I don't know. I think that we need to come up with a better word for this kind of person. So if y'all have a better suggestion for what we should call this, like aesthetic, this this kind of thing, then like, I don't know, feel free to let me know, because I feel like that there's you know the kids on TikTok from like, oh, this is cottagecore, this is goblin core, this is like whatever core, and then like, I guess what I'm describing is femcel core. So it's like, okay, if you watch anime all day, you like listen to Mitsuki and Lana Del Rey and like sad girl music, and you spend probably more time online than you do with like people in real life, then like, I guess that you're a femcel. I don't know. And I think that for the people like using femcel like legitimately, like saying it's like, oh, I'm like, can't get in a relationship with anybody, whatever, which I realized posting on Reddit that there are a lot of people that genuinely say that, which is why they took me at face value with that. I don't know, I'd say that term is losing its meaning at this point. And you know what, who really cares if you're not in a relationship right now? Like, that doesn't matter. So, you know what, I don't know. You can be a femcel, I can be a femcel, everybody will be a femcel, and it'll lose its meaning, and people won't use it to insult you or anything. And mostly, I still see like femcel used kind of as a insult to some people, or to kind of like look down on them, and I don't like that. Which is part of the reason why I just kind of joke about being a femcel, because I think if, you know, you kind of joke about it, then it loses its meaning. It's kind of like, you know, a while ago people used to say like, oh, you're such a nerd as an insult, but then like people begin to self-identify as nerds, and like, yeah, I'm a nerd, who cares? And nobody says like, seriously, oh, you're such a nerd as an insult anymore. That doesn't happen. So I think that's like more or less, in my opinion, what's happening, what should happen with femcels. You can even argue like the same things happen with the word bitch. People still use it as an insult, but I don't know, I'll say now, it's like, yeah, I'm a bitch, I don't care. Which I think is, I don't know, I think it's a good thing to kind of not let people be able to use terms to negatively define anybody. So, you know what? I will say I'm a femcel. I will always be a femcel. Doesn't matter what else is going on in my life. I will be a femcel. And you know, if you want to be a femcel, you can be a femcel too. Doesn't matter your gender either. You can be a femcel. Do you fit these aesthetics? You watch this anime? Do you spend all your time online? I don't care about your gender. You can be a femcel too, okay? We can all be femcels. But anyways, I don't know if I answered the question of what is a femcel. I think I probably just confused you farther, and I would love to actually get everybody's thoughts on how they would define that in the comments too, because I think it's just genuinely interesting, and this is a topic that's actually starting to get, as I was doing some research on it, there's actually some like people doing genuine academic research on like their thesis and like papers, and you know, really looking into this, which I think is really cool, honestly. So I'd love to kind of see how it gets defined later as well. Well, anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if y'all have any suggestions for more videos and anything like that, let me know in the comments below, and I will definitely consider them because I've been having a lot of fun making YouTube videos lately. Have a great day, afternoon, night, whatever it is in your time zone and you're watching. And I hope y'all take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.